Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to this video. And today we're gonna look at my entire eyeshadow palette collection. It's gonna be all eyeshadows that I currently own. I will also link my mid-year eyeshadow palette checkup and the first video that I posted on this channel, which was at the beginning of the year, and it was like my then current eyeshadow collection. So I will link that down below. In case this is your first time here, hi, my name is Sasha. I love indie makeup, I love colorful makeup, especially eyeshadows. And yeah, I just love playing with makeup. This look is either already up or it's coming tomorrow. I'm not sure if I'm posting the Get Ready With Me first or if I'm posting this video first. But either way, it's gonna be linked down below. And this video should be coming up either before Christmas or on the Christmas day, so Merry Christmas. And without further ado, let's just jump right into this video. Also, if you're wondering what palette I used, it's the Muse palette by Cosmic Brushes, then the Delicious Delights that I mostly use this palette. And I also reached into my Spooked palette by Gourmand Girls. And that's it for this intro, so let me just show you my eyeshadow palette collection. Okay, so here are all the palettes. If I counted correctly, it's 27 palettes, which is good because at the end of 2022, I had 21 palettes, and I've promised myself, or 20 palettes, I'm not sure, but I promised myself that I'm not gonna add more than 12. But I promised myself that I'm not gonna buy palettes every month, and that I'm not gonna end up over the number of 30 palettes, which I didn't. I did buy more than one palette a month, a couple times. A lot of them actually are new palettes from this year, but I decluttered some palettes, even some that I bought this year, and I've used up 3 palettes, so that kind of helps with the numbers. Which I'm very happy that it's still like somewhat of a manageable amount. And now let's just go through them. So the newest palette is the Whata Beauty Dragon Eye palette. I still have it in the packaging. I've only worn it once, and that was yesterday, well, for me yesterday, at my dorm. So I carried it with the package to make sure that the palette's not gonna get ruined or anything. To make sure that the palette's not gonna get ruined or anything. But this is how she looks like. I mean, she's so stunning. She's so tiny, by the way. And I haven't swatched her yet, so she's not that... She still looks like nice and, you know, pretty. Trying to show you the shifts as well in her. I don't know if you will be able to see that, but yeah, she's very pretty. You have a bit more shimmers than mattes, which I like because I mean I use mattes every time, but I don't need mattes. But I don't need like more mattes than shimmers, and I kind of prefer if there are more shimmers. And these shimmers are so pretty and sparkly and beautiful, and I really like this palette, and I hope that they're gonna release some singles because these are very small pen sizes. This is a magnetic palette. The pen size is very small, and I don't know which other brand would fit these pens. I think it's 20 milliliter square pen. If you know about any brands that do these kind of small pans, let me know, because I would love to buy some and like rearrange this palette because it's beautiful palette and I love the way that she looks like, but I would just wish for a little bit more depth in the matte department. But yeah, by the time this video goes up, you should already the review of this palette should already be up. So that's for the Whata Beauty palette. Then we're gonna do this pile. So I tried to rearrange it. I tried to arrange this by brands, so that I'm not going back and forth. So we're gonna go do Unearthly now. I have the Devour palette, which looks like this. I've used her many times. I think I've used her like 10 times now, and she's very pretty. I'm super happy that I bought her. I bought the entire box, so I have also the lippies and everything, and she's stunning. She's kind of dark. She's pretty dark, but I love her. She's very nice, very pretty. Love the look that I created with her. And again, these are magnetic palettes from Unearthly. And if you like Little Cosmetics, you can fit Little shades in this palette. So if that's something that interests you, then you can definitely, if you have some Little shades, you can definitely use them in this palette. Which I'm definitely gonna do if I'm ever like gonna run out of some of these shades, because as far as I know, Unearthly doesn't sell single shades. So that's the Devour palette. I really love her. The packaging is stunning, by the way. And I love that they're kind of like, the packaging of the Unearthly products feels expensive. You know, like it has some weight, it has some style. It's very well made. I really like these, so I would recommend this brand. And they have really nice formula that's not too hard to work with. It's also not too sheer, so you can do kind of lighter, you can also do bolder looks, and I think all will be okay with this palette, with this brand. And in this palette especially, I love the iridescent shades. They're literally the star of the show. That I just they're so pretty, they're so sparkly and good looking, and I love them. Then I have the Fall Magic palette. The first time I've actually heard about Unearthly was because of the original Fall Magic that I thought was absolutely stunning. But before I could, push myself to buy her, it was no longer available. And I'm so happy that I have the remastered version, because I like this shape of a palette a little bit more. And I think they're making smaller pans now than was in the original Fall Magic, and I'm happy for it. I think these pants are like perfect size, and yeah, I really like her. She's so pretty. This one has pretty much all of the shimmers are some kind of duochrome or multichrome, I think, except these two. This one is kind of just like iridescent topper, and this one is more just like a metallic green. It doesn't really have any like shift in it, but you can see that the others do shift like crazy. So a very beautiful palette. You can do neutral look, but you can also play with some of the funner colors. And I like to mix these two palettes together to kind of get everything that I want. Then I have the Lore palette. This one is quite big. It has huge pans. This is the original version, or like the older version. I think a little, not that long after I bought this palette, they released a remake of this palette, which has the smaller pans and everything, which I wish I had that one, but I didn't know that they're gonna be remastering it or like redoing it. But this one is really pretty. It has some nice oranges. I love this multi-chrome that goes from pink to gold to green, which I don't know if you will be able to see the green, maybe slightly, but yeah, it's really pretty. Love this green as well. And it's a very nice formula. I think the formula in the newer palettes is better than this, but it's still a great formula. And I oftentimes use this shade as a highlighter and this shade as a blush, and this shade as an eyeliner. So it is more like a multi-use palette. And I love the packaging. I love snakes and like ancient mythology, so like Medusa and all these types of things are really fun for me. And I also love spooky makeup, so Unearthly is great. Love their products. Then I have 3 Gourmand Girls palettes. These are all the palettes that they released in collaboration with Doodles by the Bunny. I love this skinny long type of packaging. This is the Haunted palette. This is the newest one. Well, the newest one that I have. I think they've already released some of the. I don't know how it's called. I think it's like Silent Night, which is like a wintry palette. But I like these Halloweeny ones a bit more. So this is the Haunted. I think I like the color story of this one the most because it kind of combines what I love about the previous two palettes. I really like the intense shimmers here, like they're very, very sparkly, very beautiful. Love the mattes, they're super fun. Maybe there didn't need it to be two very similar yellows and two similar green shades. And maybe it could have been switched with something else, but that's like the only problem I have with this one. But it's beautiful palette with beautiful colors and beautiful finishes. I've used her 11 times so far, and I only have her for not that long. So that's the Haunted palette. By the way, for the Unearthly palettes, because I forgot to mention the Lore palette, I've used her 17 times so far, the Devour 10 times, and the Fall Magic 10 times as well. So I'm gonna try to mention how many times I've used them so far so that you can see how they look like after that amount of usage. And just, I don't know, since I do track how much I use my palettes and I have like Excel spreadsheets for that, I thought I could mention it. Then we have the Nightshade palette, which is beautiful. This packaging, because it has that holographic effect, it's kind of hard to show on camera because it my lighting kind of screws everything, but it's so pretty. I mean, you can see it now. It's so pretty. This came out at the end of summer, I believe. And this is the this is the inside. I love the combination of these extremely shiny yellows with the greens, with the purples. That's just so fun to me. I love the shimmers here, especially I like these really deep ones, which I don't usually wear deep shimmers like that, but these are amazing and I've actually used them quite a lot and I love them. So this one is definitely great. I've used her 15 times so far and I really like her. She's super fun, really nice to use, and I love Gourmand Girls formula. I think it's one of my favorite formulas. I think it would be in top 3 probably, or maybe top 4. I'm not completely sure, but it's a really nice formula. I really like the shimmers and the mattes, and even some of the satins are nice, and I don't wear satins very often, but these ones are really pretty. Then I have this Booked palette. This was my first palette that I got from them. I bought her, I think it was like April this year when it came on Monolith, which is where I shop most of these indie brands because I'm from Czech Republic, so I'm from Europe. And Monolith is like a European reseller of these indie brands. So this Booked palette, I've used her 16 times so far, and she's beautiful. She's really fun. It's a little bit more of a neutral color story, or it's definitely the most neutral out of all of them, but I really like her. It has some really fun shades, like the shade Apple Bob is amazing. I love the shade Cauldron. This is very pretty neutral shimmer that I actually enjoy, and I love these olivey greens. They're my favorite for like an everyday look. So this one is definitely great. If you're just like starting with colors, maybe this would be better option for you than the other palettes that I've mentioned so far. So this one is amazing, and I love how skinny they are, and they're really nice to travel with. So that's for Gourmand Girls. Then one solitaire is the Makeup Beauty shop, and in collaboration with Martha's Makeup, the Serpent palette. I bought her, I think it was spring or beginning, well, it was definitely still spring of this year. Love this palette so much. I've already ordered the newest palette from Mika, which is the something with wizard, I believe, or it has like a little wizard on the packaging. And this palette is just stunning. It's kind of one of my favorite palettes, just because it has my favorite colors. It has yellows, oranges, greens, pinks, and purples. Like I love this color story. It gives me all I want and need. And these shimmers are so beautiful and wet looking and just stunning. And I don't know if I'm gonna be able to show you any of the shifts in this palette. I think I don't have the right lighting today. But she's stunning, she's beautiful. I love the Makeup Beauty shop formula. So definitely if you're looking for some European indie brands, Mika is definitely great. And I also have some singles from them. They mostly sell singles. So if you like to build your own palette, also head their way. They have beautiful shimmers and multi-chromes and duochromes. So pretty. Then I have the Lunar Beauty Siren Sunset. Oh, and I've used her 22 times so far. As I said, I bought her this year, so. Then I have the Lunar Beauty Siren Sunset palette. She's so pretty and so magical. This is my only Lunar Beauty palette that I own. And it's because I'm not a neutral lover. So for me, it's mainly, like, I mainly have it for these shades. And then maybe these two and the inner corner highlight. But I don't really use neutrals, like, ever. But I really wanted to try Lunar Beauty's formula. And I bought her at 50% off on Monolith. So that was the only reason why I bought her, because I wanted to try it. It was not that expensive, and it's a beautiful palette with a beautiful packaging. And I do quite like her. The multi-chromes and duochromes are very pretty. They're more subtle. They're not as obvious as my other indie brands, but I understand that this is more like a mainstream indie brand. That's like more targeted towards everyday makeup consumer and not really for people who love crazy colorful looks. So I completely get it. The color story, the formulas are amazing, the mattes are really nice, the shimmers also beautiful, and the two iridescent shades stunning, and they look beautiful as highlighters as well. So that's for this palette. I've used her 7 times so far. I will link down below all the palettes that are available currently, and I will link my review of these palettes as well if I can. So this one I haven't reviewed. I reviewed her at the beginning of the month, I believe, because I did receive her either at the end of November or beginning of December. So she's very new to my collection, so I only used her 7 times so far. But she's very pretty, and I do want to play with her a bit more. Then I have my Cosmic Brushes palette. So I have the Gothic palette, which is this beautiful, deep, purpley, reddish berry color story. I love the multi-chrome. It shows. It's so pretty. and I love these tones. And I love that this one is a little bit smaller. I don't like huge palettes, so I'm very happy that this one is kind of more curated, and I would wish that cosmic brushes would continue with this smaller format. But I think this palette is absolutely great, and I love everything about her. And she's so pretty. I love this like dark theming going on. Then the first palette that I bought from Cosmic Brushes. Oh, again, I forgot. The Gothic palette, I've used her 10 times. Then the Delicious Delights. I love the packaging. It's a bigger palette, but I don't mind it because it's a pastel palette, and I really like the variation, and I like that you don't have to do just pastel looks. You have some deeper options here as well. Love the colors here. Again, love the multi-chrome. It's so pretty. I've used her 19 times. I love, as I said, the multi-chrome. I love the shade Frosting. I love these purples. And I love the shade Minty. It's so pretty. And also Buttercream. It's kind of like a very kind of sunflowery yellow. And yeah, it's a very fun color story. And I think for like spring or summer, this is a perfect palette. You get amazing quality product for a very good price. And if you're from Europe, this is a British brand, and they have you don't pay like additional VAT or any other expenses when you buy from them. You just pay for shipping, and they like the VAT is included in the price or something, but it's a very inexpensive brand, and they have amazing formulas and amazing quality. So that's the Delicious Delights. And as I said, 19 times used so far. Then second newest palette to my collection is the Muse palette. I've wanted this ever since it launched, but I was still unsure if I should buy it because when it launched, I didn't have the Delicious Delights palette yet, and I didn't know if I'm gonna like this formula, even though I knew a lot of people were really into cosmic brushes, but I wasn't sure if I would love it. And because it's a 20 pen palette, and I'm usually not that into 20 pens. This is how she looks like. I've used her 6 times so far. I filmed my review with this, and then one get ready with me that isn't up yet and probably won't be up for a while because I have other things that are more important. And then the look that you saw at the beginning of that you saw in the intro. But she's very pretty, very nice. I love the formulas just as much as the other palettes. Like, they're very consistent. All of these palettes have the same beautiful formulas. I haven't noticed any like differences or that anything would act differently. So this one is great. And I love this color story. It kind of reminds me like an old lady's garden, like kind of romantic old garden. And I love these shades. These are kind of my everyday shades. I'm super, super happy that I have her. Can't believe that I was resisting this long to buy her because she is truly wonderful. And then the Winter Wonderland. I'm so happy that I have this palette. I think I like this palette the most because it's so like different and unique, and it has color story that I don't really reach for very often, but this one makes it. But this palette is so interesting and so fun that I think I'm gonna really enjoy wearing blues and cool tones thanks to this palette. This palette has 2 multi-chromes, so the shade Winter Solstice and then the shade atmosphere, which I don't know if you will see, but it's purple to deep kind of blue going into kind of this cool toned green. Maybe if I put it like this, you will see it. Yeah, I think you can see the cool tone green and then the purple. So I love the multi-chromes. I love all the other shimmers. I love this inner corner highlight. It's so pretty. It's kind of this like seafoamy, light, turquoisey, iridescent highlighter. Beautiful. Love that you have mixture of really, really light pastel shades and really, really dark shades. Some really bright shades like these three. It's just such a well curated palette, and I love that there are no, and I love that it's a cool tone palette with zero gray in it. That just makes me so happy. I feel like every single time when I see a blue palette, it either has browns with it or grays, and I don't care for either. So I'm very happy that this is a true cool tone palette, but like colorful cool tone palette. And yeah, she's stunning. Love her. And I also used her 6 times. I don't have these palettes for very long. I have them, as I'm filming this, I've had them for 2 weeks now. So yeah, I didn't have that much time to play with them. But I definitely want to use her more. Not just for this month, but also in the next month. She's beautiful, and I'm super, super happy for her. I almost didn't get her because it was lost at the postal office, or like at the postal service for like 2 weeks, and they couldn't find it. And then by an absolute miracle, it was found and it was delivered to me. So I will cherish her forever. So that's for cosmic brushes. Then another palette that I only have, or another brand that I only have one palette from, though I want to buy another one soon, is the Shelby Makeup, and this is the Lyanna palette. They have these like really small palettes that are like 4 pans, and they have different theming. So this one is a snake, then they have like a lion, an octopus, I believe, then some kind of bird, and it's all kind of and they create color stories based off of that. This one is really fun for the fact that it's 4 pan. You have one matte, one metallic inner corner highlight, one multi-chrome that goes from red to orange to yellow to this extremely like poisonous greenish yellow, which I think you can see now, and then this really pretty deeper green. I really like her. I've used her, well, not that many times since it's like a very small palette, but I've used her 13 times, and I like her as a companion palette, and I like the shade here. The quality is nice. I like that it's small, and I want to get there. It's something with witches, or it was like Halloween release. I want to get that one, but it's not available yet on Monolith, but I want to get the Halloweeny one. Then I have 2 Shroud palettes that I again bought on Monolith. Let me actually rearrange this. So I have the Halloween palette by Shroud and in collaboration with Betty Bean. I had to get this one. First of all, I love Betty Bean. She's amazing, and this is such a fun color story. I usually use this palette with other palettes, but I love the packaging, love the color story. I love that it's a 9-pan and that it's a magnetic palette, so I can change it up if I want to. I really love the purples and the greens. I don't wear the oranges as often, even though I like orange as a color, but I never really, I don't know, every single time I look at this palette, I'm more drawn towards this multi-chrome that's like a green to purple. Yeah, I think you saw it just now. But yeah, it's like a purple that shifts to this really deep green. It's a very pretty multi-chrome or like duochrome, and I love this highlighter because it has like a green yellow shine to it. Such a stunning inner corner highlight, and it looks beautiful on the face as well. So yeah, I love these. I love that it's a small palette, and I've used her 17 times so far. And then the Moonfall palette. I haven't used this one as much. I only used her 9 times because I got her in the spring when it came to Monolith, and I have other palettes that I had other palettes to use, and I was kind of saving this one for winter, which I will use her. I think I'm gonna use her with the Winter Wonderland palette by Cosmic Brushes, and also with the Muse palette. I think they would fit very nicely together, and I want to get some more uses out of her. But yeah, she's beautiful. Love these jewel tones. Again, I need to use her with other palettes, otherwise it's too dark and there's no inner corner highlight. But for a 9 pan, I don't mind that. I most of the time I use more than one palette for a look. And these shimmers are so wet looking and sparkly and just delicious. I love this one. The mattes are nice too. It's not my favorite matte formula, but it's not a bad matte formula. It's just I prefer other brands. But it's buildable, it's blendable. I would wish that it's maybe slightly more creamy that I like, so it's a bit harder to blend it than my other palettes, but it's still blendable. It just takes, I don't know, instead of having the matte portion of the look done in 4 minutes, it's gonna take, I don't know, 6 minutes. You know, like it's just slightly. It's not that much of an issue. But love her, love the packaging, and yeah, I'm very happy that I have these two, and they're quite small, tiny, compact. Love them. Then another brand is Colourpop. I only have 3 palettes from them. I used to have the Blue Moon, I think it was called. It was the 9 pan that was all blue. It was before I had this channel. And but I decluttered her, I think, before I started this channel. So now I have the Tinkerbell palette, which is this beautiful green one. I kind of played with mine a little bit. I took out the matte shade that was in here, and I gave it to my sister because she uses like neutral matte a lot. And instead I put one of the shades that is from the Legend of Korra palette, and then the shade that was here was a shimmer that's in the Legend of Korra palette, and instead I've put here this Nomad Cosmetics single in the Gold Royal Orb. As you can see, it's a beautiful duochrome. But all of these 7 shades are the original shades. As you can see, I already have a pan. I think I bought this one, or I got this one November last year, so it's a little bit, so it's a year old. And I quite like her. It's like a neutral everyday color story for me. I quite like these shades, especially like these greens. They're my favorite, and I love how intensely sparkly this shade is. I wish that these two weren't so satiny because I don't like satin shades, but this one is very sparkly and beautiful. And again, I like that it's small, it has a mirror, it's magnetic, and I've used her 24 times so far, which is quite a bit because last year I only used her like twice, and then I started probably properly using her this year, kind of around spring, and I used her a lot in the summer and also in the autumn. Like I really kind of like started targeting her a little bit more and using her more. So 24 uses. Then I have the Sweet as Can Be palette, the Winnie the Pooh palette that they released last spring. This was my first. I bought this one because I already had the blue palette and I knew that I liked the Colourpop formula in the blue 9 pan, and I love Winnie the Pooh. It's one of the few things that I'm actually nostalgic about, and she's so pretty. She's small, she's very tiny and like slim and sleek, and she has these beautiful pants in the shape of the honey, how do you call it? I don't know how it's called, but you know, it has these cute shapes for pants, which I really appreciate. It's a nice, cute color story. It's not the best formula, but I quite like this green shade. I love the yellow. Here, I wish that there was one green matte instead of these brownie ones, but I really like the yellow with this shade or with this shade. This one is kind of not hard pan, but it's like a really dry hard shade for some reason, and also this one. But the other mattes are really nice. I think it's because this one has sparkle in it, like these three, and the sparkles make the shades really hard and like kind of, I don't know, it's just very hard formula. I don't love Colourpop shimmers. For me, they're a little bit too demure, a little bit too, like they're played safe. They played too safe for me. But I quite like this shade as a blush slash highlighter. It's a beautiful kind of pinky shade with a peachy like shine to it. And again, kind of like an everyday palette that I usually travel with, or I use her for like when I have to be somewhere and I don't have much time. And I've surprisingly used her 38 times, considering that it's not that, like, I don't focus on her very often, but I actually use her 38 times so far. And then I have the Legend of Korra palette. I bought her this year. I think it was beginning of summer, and I really like this one. It kind of surprised me how good this palette is. Again, as I said, this shade is the one from the Tinkerbell palette, and this is the shade that I put in the Tinkerbell palette, and instead here is my Terra Moons single in Star Sign. I love the mattes in this palette. They're absolutely stunning, especially like the blues and the yellow. So good. The shimmers are okay. I mean, the shade Endgame that I've put in the Tinkerbell palette, that one is pretty nice. This one is pretty shiny, but it's like a white inner corner, so I don't really use that very often. This one is great as highlighter because it has like a blue sheen. It's a white shimmer with a blue sheen, but it's one of those jelly formulas, so I can't really use it on my lids because it creases like crazy. The same for this shade, which I'm definitely gonna take out and put like different shimmer eventually in here because it's not my favorite formula. But I love the mattes. It's a very nice palette. Eventually this will be like just like a magnetic palette. I'm gonna eventually replace especially the shimmers, and then when I use up the mattes, then I'm gonna replace the mattes as well. But as I said, like for Colourpop, this is really good formula, especially like the mattes are just I wish every single brand had mattes like these. They're really good. And I've used her 28 times so far. And I like that it's like a book packaging. It's just really pretty. I like this one a lot. So that's for Colourpop. And then the last pile are all of my Oden's Eye palettes. So as you can see, like pretty much half of my collection, or like third of my collection, is Oden's Eye. I have one mini palette from them, and it's the Earth palette. I also had the mini forest, which I used up. I had the mini ocean, which I gave to my friend, and I have also the I had the verdandi, which I also gave to one of my friends. But the earth has stayed. Again, it's a perfect everyday look, or like everyday palette. It's a palette that I travel with quite a bit. I just love these shades. The greens are great. The highlighters are amazing. The shimmers are stunning. This one is maybe slightly chunkier, but if you apply it with finger or if you spray your brush, it's great. And I mean, it's an older palette, so I'm kind of a little bit more forgiving. But I love that it's small. I love the packaging. I love the color story. Everything about this is just perfect. And I think I'm gonna use her up eventually at some point, because I use her quite a lot. So far I've used her 23 times, which is a lot for small palette that only has like one look, or like one that I can only do one look with, or like kind of one look, maybe two. 23 uses is a lot, because I mostly gravitate towards like colorful palettes, or palettes that give me a lot of options, and I usually don't go towards these small ones. So for me to actually use it that many times means that it's my favorite. And I have the Giant Wolves palette. This was the collaboration with Annette Oberstadt. I think they collaborated on this like 2 years ago, or maybe it was 3 years. I'm not sure. I didn't bought her when it launched, because I didn't know about pretty much any of these indie brands, maybe only Colourpop. But I got her from a friend. I'm really happy that I have her. This is how she looks like. It's a very beautiful kind of like wintry color story with a little bit of green in it. You can get this one, but I'm really happy that I have her. I like these book type packages. I love these book type palettes. They're just really fun for me, and I really cherish this palette. And I have one pen here. I've used it enough to have a pen, and I've actually used it 18 times. It was used a couple times before by my friend, but not that many times. And yeah, I'm very, very happy for her. Then I have the Salmone palette. This is a palette that they released last summer, like at the end of summer, if I remember that correctly. It's the Salmone 2, and it's kind of like a rainbow palette with some deeper options as well. As you can see, I use this shade for eyeliner, that's why it's so messy. But this one is really fun, especially like when I bought it, I used it all the times. And even like this year, at the beginning of the year in the spring and such, I've used her so much. I've used her 48 times actually so far, which I don't think is a bad amount of uses. And yeah, I love her. I love the yellows, I love the purples. This blue is amazing with this one. And yeah, I think I've loved her more last year when the formula was fresh. I think now some of the shades started to, I don't know, some of the shimmers are a bit chunkier than I remember them, but it's still beautiful formula. And I've had so much fun with this palette, and I'm definitely gonna keep using her until I get bored of her, or until she gets bad. But I love her. I love that she's kind of smaller. I love this packaging. It's so fun. And yeah, she's very pretty. Definitely, if you like colorful makeup, I would recommend her. She's very nice. Then I have my first Hella palette. Did I actually? Hold on. I'm gonna kind of put them together. So this is my first Hella palette that they released with Angelica Nyquist last year. This one is stunning. This is another kind of like everyday palette that I travel with. even though I'm really scared that I'm gonna like destroy her because of the travels. But she's just perfect, and I did took her to at least 2 vacations, maybe 3. And since I got this palette, I've probably been on like 4 or 5 vacations. So I mostly take this palette with me. She's beautiful. I love the greens. I love this insanely like shiny, vibrant, pastel shade. I love this duochrome, and I like the pinks. This is like a really fun pink corner over here. And she's just fun. She's great. She's beautiful. There's a snake here, which that means a lot to me. That kind of decides whether I'll buy a palette. I swear in my Instagram like wish list, or like in the saved post, I have like 4 palettes that are there only because they have snake on them. I'm not even kidding. So I'm a little crazy. Then another Hella palette. This is this year's Halloween collection, in collaboration with Angelica. This is the Little Ghost palette. The packaging of this is so fun and so pretty. Oh, and I forgot to mention I've used her 47 times. I don't know if I said that. This palette is fairly new. I've used her 14 times. And I love this color story. There's purples. This vibrant yellow is so good. I love the blues here. Only this shade maybe is a little bit harder to blend and use, but the rest of the shades are amazing. This one could be a little bit more vibrant. It's a little bit too dusty, but the rest is but I love the rest. They're all great. I wouldn't need to have this last row. I used these shades, and I think with the yellows and the brown, it's pretty, but I wouldn't need it in the palette. If it was just like 12 pan, it would be fine for me as well. But I love this palette. It's beautiful, and I use her quite a bit. And then the other Halloween palette, it's the Trick or Treat palette. I've used her also 14 times. This one is a little bit more everyday neutrals. You have some greens, some oranges, and then some like brownie shades. I love the greens, and I love the yellowy gold shimmers. I don't need these 2 shades. I don't use them as often. I don't think they look that great on me. And like I don't use red very often on me. I don't mind pinks, purples, oranges, but reds, I don't feel the best wearing them. But I love this shade that goes from this like bluish green to this like really goldy shiny green. This is kind of similar shades as one of the shades from the Winter Wonderland palette, and it's so pretty. It's kind of like a light bluish green. Beautiful. And yeah, I really like this one for the greens mainly and for the yellows, but still love her a lot. And I mean, it's Angelica's palette. It's kind of a sin not to like it, honestly. And then last 2 palettes are my Christmas palettes from last year. So this is the Merry Christmas and the Christmas Eve palette. I love these. I don't think they're available anymore, but I really love these. I've been using them since last year. I think I got them during November last year, and as you can see, I use them quite a lot. This is the Merry Christmas palette. I've used her 61 times so far, and as you can see, and I have multiple pans. In this one, I really like her, especially the greens. I love the greens. This shade is really nice. These 2, when I want to do something more neutrally, really like it. And these palettes are on my project pan, so I want to use them up eventually. It's probably gonna take a while since, I've had them for a year and I've only been able to pan some of the shades, but I'm definitely working on it. So that's the Merry Christmas palette. And then the Christmas Eve palette. This one is used a little bit less. This is the... I've only used her 50 times so far, and I only have one pan, but she's so pretty. I really like this color story. It's one of my favorite color stories that's not like monochromatic. But this is a very fun, interesting color story that I don't really have in other palettes, and I really like this color story. It makes me very happy every time I look at it, and I love the quality of these. Evan's Eye is definitely one of the brands that are on my top list when it comes to formulas, as well as the cosmic brushes and Gourmand Girls. By the way, if you're interested in any declutters, I don't really do like a yearly declutter, because if I find out that some palettes don't work for me, or I don't want them anymore, or I know somebody who would get more uses out of them, then I just give it to them, or I send it away. I don't keep the palettes for a year and then throw them all away at once, or give them all away. I don't understand the point of that. I understand the like yearly resets, but since I don't have like 200 palettes, I don't see a reason to do any big declutters. And when I don't like a palette, I just naturally give her away, or just get rid of her. So that's that. So there's not going to be any declutter. I will link the mid-year palette checkup, and also the first video that I made, which was like my 2023 palette collection, or like the how my palette collection looked like at the beginning of the year. And you can see that a lot of the palettes that were in those videos aren't with me anymore, or you definitely saw some reviews this year that I no longer have the palettes of. I will film my all eyeshadow palettes that I've tried this year video, but I will upload that video a little bit later, maybe like next week, because I'm still reviewing the Whata Beauty palette. I only filmed one look. I have to finish the whole video, and I want to wear it a couple more times. And I also want to wear the newest Cosmic Brushes palettes, because... And I also want to wear the new Cosmic Brushes palette a couple more times to make sure that I'm secure in my decision. And then I will film the video, and I will mention all the palettes that I bought that I don't have anymore. So if you want to see that, then you can subscribe to this channel, and once I post the video, you'll get notified about that. But so yeah, that's definitely coming. But that's gonna be it for this video. Let me know how many palettes you have. Let me know if you do yearly declutters, or if you kind of get rid of the palettes as the year goes by. And let me know how many palettes you bought this year. I don't know if I would be able to count it, because as I said, some of them I no longer have. But I think it's something like... I think it could be quite a high number. But definitely let me know how big is your collection. And that's gonna be it for me. Hope you have a great day. Merry Christmas, in case I'm actually posting it on Christmas Day the way I planned. And I hope you're enjoying today, and I will be very happy to see you in my next video. Bye!